Tonight on Turner Classic Movies, Gene Hackman and his crewmates are running out of air in Marooned. Then Zsa Zsa Gabor is the queen of outer space. And we celebrate the birthday of Rosalind Russell first in They Met in Bombay.
Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. Our next adventure in space is a film from 1969 with a storyline which foreshadowed something which would happen for real 1 year later. On April 13, 1970, 3 NASA astronauts were traveling aboard Apollo 13 on a trip to the moon when an oxygen tank exploded, which severely damaged Apollo 13's command module. Thus began a harrowing 4-day ordeal as the astronauts struggled to survive and NASA engineers back on Earth scrambled to figure out a way to bring them in safely back home again. Well, they made it. That incredible story told on film 25 years later by director Ron Howard in the 1995 film Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, and Gary Sinise. Amazingly, that story had already basically been told with our next movie, which came out 1 year before the Apollo 13 accident happened. It was in 1969 that director John Sturges made the movie we have coming up next. The story is so similar as to what eventually happened that it's kind of spooky. We bring you the 1969 Columbia Pictures release, Marooned, the story of 3 astronauts struggling to survive after their ship malfunctions just as they return to Earth. The movie had actually been in development at Columbia Studios for some time, and the man behind its development was none other than the legendary Frank Capra, the director of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Lost Horizon, You Can't Take It With You, and so many of the great films Columbia Studios made in the 1930s. But it was in the 60s that plans were afoot to do the movie at Columbia Pictures with Capra directing. But the studio wouldn't give Capra the budget he felt he needed, so he walked away from the project. And soon after, John Sturges came in, took over, and made the film. Ironically, with a budget much higher than Columbia would agree to give Capra. The cast of our movie is headed by Gregory Peck, also Gene Hackman, Richard Crenna, David Jansen, and Scott Brady, along with 2 exceptionally fine actresses, Mariette Hartley and Lee Grant. We bring it to you now for 1969 Marooned.